We're destroyed, man. We're freaking devastated. We want Charli back.
I honestly don't even know where to begin with this one, because the minute I read the deux-mois blind item about a massive TikTok family having a massive falling out over missing money, my brain immediately jumped to every scenario except this one. But then the names started leaking, and the receipts started dropping, and Marc D'Amelio literally got on Instagram Live and lost his whole mind trying to defend himself. And I'm sitting here looking at my screen like, wait, are we really witnessing the full implosion of the D'Amelio family in real time? As it looks like it will. It's your girl Lydia, and I need someone to come get these people. Because this is quite literally the messiest financial drama we have seen in the influencer space since the Sway House era, and it just keeps getting darker the more layers you peel back. So let me back up here because we have to put it in context who we are dealing with before we get to the allegations of missing millions. We all know Charli D'Amelio. The 15-year-old girl from Norwalk, Connecticut started doing TikTok dances in her bedroom in the summer of 2019 and somehow became the most followed human being on the app within a matter of months. Like she was a fire in a bottle. Before this, they were just a regular suburban family. Marc D'Amelio was a former Republican candidate for the Connecticut State Senate, which is a whole conversation in and of itself, and owned an apparel company. Heidi D'Amelio was a model and personal trainer. They lived a very comfortable life on the East Coast. But then Charli exploded. And when I say it blew up, I mean it was a full culture phenomenon. She was getting millions of followers per day, and the very next day, her parents sold everything they had and moved the family to Los Angeles to take advantage of it. The older sister Dixie D'Amelio rode that wave and started a music career. Do we all remember the time of Be Happy? What a time it was. They got a Hulu reality show called The D'Amelio Show, which, honestly, always seemed a bit off to me. If you saw that show, you would have seen that Charli was exhausted. She cried all the time about the pressure and how she missed her friends from home and looked like she wanted to sleep for 3 days straight. But the machine kept rolling. They did Super Bowl commercials, Prada campaigns, they got Dunkin' brand deals. They basically tried to be the Gen Z Kardashians. But instead of giving up equity to some Hollywood management company, Marc D'Amelio decided to run the empire himself. And that's where it gets legally and financially complicated. Marc launched D'Amelio Brands LLC, a giant corporate umbrella for launching family-owned products. We are talking D'Amelio footwear. So this popcorn company called Be Happy Snacks, that's in every Walmart. And for years, they sold us this picture-perfect, grounded, close-knit family navigating fame together. They wanted us to think that Marc and Heidi were the safety rails, and the child stars of the 2000s were exploited by industry. Those were the good ones. Well, that story was not on board with the internet this week. A tip from Toomey, late May 2026. And we all know deux-mois is hit or miss, but this one seemed too specific not to share. The tip explained that a top-tier TikToker had discovered that millions of dollars had been transferred out of her accounts, which were set up when she was a minor and managed by her parents. And once the internet put the pieces together to Charli D'Amelio, all hell broke loose. Let's go through the actual allegations here, because the words matter. In California, minors working in entertainment are supposed to be protected by the Coogan Law, which mandates that 15% of their gross earnings be put into a blocked trust account. But social media wealth is the Wild West. When Charli was 15, 16, 17 years old, she was making millions from creator funds, merch, and brand deals. The money goes into custodial accounts. Now 22, Charli is actively trying to take control of her own adult life and potentially transition to new management and ordered a forensic audit, the story goes. Or maybe she just tried to get her parents' names off some legacy accounts for sole access. And when she looked at the figures, she realized that a vast sum of her personal income was just gone. Or shifted, without her explicit permission, and the gasp I drew reading that. Because we're not talking about a few $1,000s missing out of a checking account. We are talking millions. Where do millions of dollars go? Did it go to D'Amelio Brands? Was it seed money for Be Happy Snacks? Did it engage in investments she had not approved of? Guys, this is no longer a rumor, this has caused a total breakdown of communication in the family. Charli D'Amelio did a mass unfollow spree. She completely wiped Marc D'Amelio and Heidi D'Amelio from her Instagram following list. It is deafeningly silent. She now only communicates with her own parents through lawyers. Lawyers? I mean, can you imagine paying a $500 an hour retainer to ask your dad where your Dunkin' Donuts money went? That's crazy work. But wait, it goes further down the rabbit hole. The writing was on the wall for a long time from a business perspective. Now, we know that Charli D'Amelio formally and legally separated herself from Be Happy Snacks back in November 2025. She completely left the brand. At the time, PR spun it as a amicable exit. They were like, oh, Charli's just doing other things. Good. girl, she was laying out her assets. She knew investing her own money into her parents' business ventures was asking for trouble. Her dad had set up an LLC, and she wanted to get out from under it. And while Charli is tearing herself apart and fighting for her own financial independence, guess who is staying right by their parents' side? Dixie D'Amelio. Dixie is still behind Be Happy Snacks. Dixie is still partnered with D'Amelio Brands. And several sources say Dixie has sided completely with Marc and Heidi in this feud. She's riding with parents, the sisters are at odds. The family is torn apart. And honestly, I have so many questions about Dixie's involvement. Didn't her money disappear? Was she more into the corporate side, so she approved the transfers? Or is she too reliant on D'Amelio Brands to walk away? And Marc D'Amelio, naturally, he went with chaos. Instead of dealing with this behind the scenes like a normal professional, he goes to the comment sections of TikTok to fight teenagers, arguing with 14-year-olds in the comments. He called the Dumois reports a bunch of BS and said, "This is 100% not true." He was dropping paragraphs, denying everything. And then he jumped in a TikTok live stream. And this live stream, I have watched it 3 times, and it is a masterclass in deflection. He was talking a mile a minute, pacing around, looking incredibly stressed, and basically accused Charli's new solo management team of brainwashing her. "They are manipulating her, she is being manipulated," he said. These new managers see Charli as a cash cow and want to isolate her from the people who actually love her so they can take 20% of her earnings. He was like, "I'm an East Coast guy, I'm Italian. I trusted these people and they stabbed me in the back. There's professional CPAs who accounted for every dollar, and I have all the receipts," he said. He challenged people to oppose him. If he had to, he would post the receipts online, he said. But here's the thing though, where are the receipts, Marc? Because if you've got them, you can sort this out in 10 seconds. But instead, you're doing a live stream rant about how evil Charli's new team is. He even admitted on that live stream that someone on his team, a guy named Gary Rosenthal, passed along the GoDaddy passwords to Charli's new manager as they were leaving the premises. He was whining about his domain names and two-factor authentication. And, by the way, why are we talking about GoDaddy passwords on a public live stream when your daughter is accusing you of financial mismanagement? Make it all make sense. He sits there crying over his .coms, while the internet thinks he robbed millions from his kid. Let's see what the comments are saying. The discussion is actually insane. I've been scrolling for hours. One comment read, "Marc D'Amelio gives me the biggest stage dad vibes. He saw his daughter go viral and immediately tried to build a corporate empire on her back." I'm quoting, "Okay, but why is this person right though?" Because he just literally did that. The moment she hit 10 million followers, he was trademarking everything. Someone else said, "Charli always looked miserable on that Hulu show. You could tell she just wanted to be a normal teenager, and they forced her to be a CEO." No, because this comment made me actually stop and think. It's so true. The girl always seemed tired. Like literally there was a whole episode in season 2 where she was like, she had no passion for anything anymore and they just kept putting cameras in her face. Someone else added, "This is literally the Britney Spears situation all over again. Free Charli D'Amelio." Okay, let's not get all the way to conservatorship levels just yet, because Charli does have her own lawyers and she's fighting back, but the parallels of parents controlling a young star's finances are definitely giving me pause. It gives off a lot of child star exploitation vibes. Another viral comment read, "He said he didn't put the money in offshore accounts because he doesn't know how. Sir, you just said you hired the best CPAs in the business, I'm sure they know how." Oop! I saw it immediately, because he literally bragged about having $1 million financial team, but then played the "I'm just a simple dad" card when the offshore rumors started. But there are some defending Marc. One said, "Honestly, Marc set them up for generational wealth. He created businesses so they wouldn't just be TikTokers forever. Charli's new team is definitely trying to steal her." I would actually disagree with this, and here's why. A parent's job is to protect their child's earnings, not just take seed money for a popcorn brand without asking. That's messed up if he used her money to fund his CEO dreams. Another comment defending him said, quote, "Dixie is sticking by them for a reason. If they were really stealing, she would have left too." And then this reply to that comment had me howling. Someone said, "Dixie is staying because without Charli's clout, she needs D'Amelio Brands to survive." The audacity. But the math ain't math in no other ways. Charli has the worldwide star power. Dixie has her music, but D'Amelio Brands is what keeps the family in the retail space. Another jumped to Marc's defense, saying, quote, "He said he'd post the receipts. I believe him. The new management just wants their 20% cut." And honestly, that's a fair point. Hollywood managers are greedy. Quite possibly, this new team got in Charli's ear, told her she was being ripped off, and blew a simple accounting error to get Marc out of the picture. But even if it is true, The whole Marc not talking to Charli for months and fighting her on TikTok Live is so toxic. The craziest thing about all this is that there are no actual lawsuits filed yet. If Charli D'Amelio actually sues Marc D'Amelio, it's going to force a massive legal discovery process. Bank statements, LLC operating agreements, offshore account audits, all will be public record. Marc says they never moved money offshore. I wouldn't even know how to do that. But if Charli's new management team found irregularities, they have a fiduciary duty to pursue it. They can't just let millions of dollars get away. The whole mess just goes to show why child stars need to be given independent financial protection from the minute they sign their first contract. You can't have your dad as your CEO, your boss, and your parent all at the same time. The conflict of interest is screaming at us, literally. When it comes down to paying a dividend to Charli or reinvesting that money into Be Happy snacks, what does Marc choose? He picks the business, because he wants the empire. Charli just wants her money, though. And think about the branding implications. D'Amelio footwear? Be Happy snacks, anyone? Who is going to buy that when the face of the family is at war with them publicly? They are going to be dumped by the retailers so quickly. The whole family brand was based on the idea that they were the wholesome alternative to the Paul brothers, or the Sway House drama. Now they're out here fighting over offshore accounts and GoDaddy passwords like an episode of Succession. And Charli is just out here trying to live. She moved to New York, she did some Broadway stuff, she's trying to pivot into being a serious adult entertainer, and she has this massive anchor of her family's financial mess pulling her down. I do feel sorry for her. It must be so isolating when you have to audit the people who are supposed to protect you. So I really want to know, do you think that Marc and Heidi D'Amelio really mismanaged the money? Or is Charli D'Amelio being manipulated by a greedy Hollywood management team? Is Dixie taking sides for the money? Or does she really believe her dad? This time I'm literally gonna read the comments because I'm so torn on this one. Like this video if you want instant updates when the lawsuits finally drop, because you know they are coming. And subscribe if you new, because we sure are not gonna let this story go. I'll see you in the next one. Keep it messy. And before I leave you, we really have to zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. Because this Charli D'Amelio situation is not happening in a vacuum. It's revealing a much larger, much more nefarious trend in the influencer economy right now. The first generation of big TikTok stars are aging out of their teen years and starting to demand to see the books. And it's getting ugly across the board. Just think, teenagers were suddenly making revenue comparable to Fortune 500 companies in the space of like 2 years of the pandemic. And the traditional Hollywood agency system was caught completely off guard by TikTok, so parents had to step in and handle the millions. They create LLCs. They patented names. They signed huge licensing deals for all kinds of things, from cosmetics to apparel to, yes, Be Happy snacks. And everything looked good, because everybody was getting paid. But what happens when that 16-year-old is 22 and finds out her dad built a corporate empire using her face, which she doesn't actually own a controlling stake of? This is exactly what people were warning about back in the Hype House days. We all laughed at those subprime houses, but billions of dollars were going through them, and the financial structures were basically built on a napkin. Now we are seeing the fallout. Marc D'Amelio is the perfect example here. He went from owning a Connecticut apparel business to being CEO of a media empire, using his daughter's literal face to do it. D'Amelio Brands was all built on Charli's clout. Yes, Dixie was there, and Dixie is doing her thing, but let's be real. Charli was the engine. Charli was the algorithm's favorite child. And the biggest smoking gun in all of this is the fact that Charli legally separated from Be Happy Snacks back in November 2025. Why would you walk out on your own family business unless you saw something in the paperwork that terrified you? Or unless you discovered that you were doing all the heavy lifting and the equity was split in ways you didn't agree with? This wasn't some quick Thanksgiving dinner punch-up. This was a slow burn and calculated legal separation that reached a tipping point when the new management team started doing forensic accounting on her old custodial accounts. And let's talk about that new management team for a moment. Because Marc is out here screaming on TikTok Live that they are greedy, and they just want their 20%. Newsflash Marc, Hollywood managers are greedy. Yep, yeah, they want their 20%. This is the way the industry works. But a professional manager has a fiduciary duty which is legally bound to their client. Charli's new manager steals from her. She can send them into oblivion, license revoked. The lines are so blurred when a parent mismanages money because they will justify it as building the family's future. It is the classic stage parent trap. I bought this house for the family, so it's okay if I used your money. I invested in this startup for our future, so it's okay. No, it is not okay. If it's her money, she has to sign off on it. And the unmitigated gall of Marc D'Amelio to go on a live stream and act like he's the victim because his daughter hired people who actually know how to read a balance sheet? It's serving up massive narcissism. He literally said, if I'm a bad guy for setting my kids up for success, then I'm the bad guy. Sir, nobody's mad at you for setting them up for success. They are angry because millions of dollars are said to be missing. Stop hiding behind good intentions and produce the bank statements. I can't help but think of Dixie in all of this as well. It must be the most painful position to be in there. She's 24, she's trying to keep her music career alive, and she's in the thick of it. If she takes Charli's side, she's losing her parents and her stake in D'Amelio brands. If she supports her parents, she loses her sister. And from what we are seeing, she has chosen the parents. She's still doing the Be Happy Snacks commercials. She's still attending the D'Amelio footwear meetings. Honestly makes me wonder, Dixie's accounts got audited too? Did she look at her numbers and say she was okay with that? Or is she just keeping her head down because she doesn't want the empire to fall apart? That is so sad. Hulu's The D'Amelio Show would play up that they were besties who shielded each other from the toxic internet. And now the toxicity's coming from in the house. I don't know how they come back from this. The D'Amelios were a healthy family unit. That was their whole pitch to advertisers. Target and Walmart don't want to sell products from a family that's suing each other over stolen millions. If this continues, they are going to get dropped left and right. And to be honest, it is already worse. Their reputation is damaged beyond repair. Charli is the victim, Marc is the cartoon villain, and Dixie is complacent. This is going to be in a documentary 5 years from now. We're going to get a Netflix deep dive on the rise and fall of the TikTok families, and this whole mess is going to be episode 1. And I'll be sitting right here watching every second of it. So yeah, the D'Amelio dynasty is officially crumbling, and I'm tired just discussing it. As I said before, tell me in the comments below who you're actually on, because this is splitting the internet right down the middle. Hit like if you want the follow-up when the lawsuits drop, and subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm Lydia, this is Spill the Tea, and I need a nap. Leave it messy, guys.